Today I'm out here in the garage where I just kind of dug out this device I made a number of years ago called Filament, and I believe it's by far my most ambitious project to date. As you can see, it has these kind of older style light bulbs with the filaments, hence the name Filament, and it's also sensitive to proximity, so it is kind of silent when there's no one around, but as one draws closer, it responds. So let's take a closer look at Filament. Filament is an interactive device I made in 2011. Most devices I previously made were part of my Enigma Gadget series and were handheld. I had an exhibition coming up and wanted to create a project using digital technology that celebrated the analog. I also wanted to make something physically larger. I had recently visited a store in Portland called Sunland Lighting. It's an amazing place that carried what seems to be every light bulb style ever made. I was drawn to the giant bulbs that were used to light up auditoriums and gymnasiums when I was a kid, as well as other bulbs having interesting filaments. I decided to make a project using these. I had recently been introduced to the laser cutter and was always looking for projects that would allow me to use it. I was particularly fond of fabricating from plastic. What I ended up making was Filament, a freestanding device which is about 36 inches tall. It was designed in Adobe Illustrator and fabricated on the laser cutter. It's run by an Arduino microcontroller using custom code I wrote. Filament consists of 3 levels. The upper compartment contains the 5 light sources, 1 giant light bulb and 4 smaller ones. The middle compartment contains all the control elements, including a mini Arduino, an MDX theatrical lighting controller, a USB hub, ultrasonic rangefinders, and a small audio amplifier. It also has an XB radio, which will allow Filament to be remotely controlled in the future if I want. The bottom compartment contains a robust 12-inch speaker. Filament is capable of being quite loud. All the acrylic pieces are laser cut with box joint edges. The whole project is held together with red cable ties, which for my purposes are much better than glue and keeps Filament quite rigid. The name and the other text printed on the device was cut from vinyl that looks like sandblasting or etching and applied to the acrylic. Filament rests on feet made from large rubber stoppers. To reinforce a couple of the corners, I used a block of material I had around that was made from a plastic material filled with coffee beans. When no one is close, the filaments pulsate as if they might be breathing. When someone approaches, the lighting becomes brighter and the light pulses pulsate faster. Also, a loud 60-cycle hum, a sound closely associated with analog audio devices, begins. The closer the viewer approaches, the louder and more lively the pulsing and sound becomes. I had 3 practical design concerns. One was overheating. It was important that the large bulb always be kept well below its maximum brightness. This was for both safety and so the viewer can look directly into the beautiful glowing filament. If the large light bulb were turned up to full brightness for any length of time, it would probably melt the case and who knows what else. To avoid this, I installed a temperature sensor above the big light bulb. If the temperature goes above a certain point, a fan in the top of Filament turns on, and if it goes above another threshold, the device is shut down. I also have redundant checks in the code to keep the brightness from going above a safe point. Second, since the device uses 120 volt current, I made sure all circuitry carrying line voltage was commercially made and UL approved, not something I just rigged up. However, I did design and implement all low voltage digital circuitry that monitors the proximity and temperature sensors and sends commands to the MDX lighting controller. Third, since the sound Filament makes may not be to everyone's taste, I wanted to make sure that someone working in the gallery could control its volume, but not easily be modified by someone just passing by. To do this, I put a volume control knob inside that could be turned with an eraser end of a pencil inserted through a ventilation hole. Filament performed perfectly during the month of the exhibition and has been reliable ever since. Thanks for watching.